Hello, my fellow caramellers. How are you doing today? Yep. I haven't done it in a while. I'm going to blow my face off. But this time, I got my friend here, Robert Jutson, or is it a soft J?
Soft J.
So,
That's
yeah,
funny.
Robert here, we've become really good friends over the years, but he's one of my early, as a matter of fact, at the end of this video, you'll see in the scroll for my producers, he's one of my very early producers. So he's always been involved in my channel, throwing suggestions out, just been on my Facebook group. I get together with, I try to once a month get together on streaming with all my producers, and we just have a BS session. And since all of us get onto these Discords and stuff, Robert and I over the past year have gotten into a lot of face-to-face conversations with the streaming. And the other thing I want to let everybody know is Robert has started a YouTube channel called, and there's the logo, is cartoon guy way over there, Questionable Scale Modeling, right?
That's correct.
All right. Questionable Scale Modeling, which I think is a fantastic name. But Robert is anything from questionable, but he questions himself, so I guess that's where it is, right, bud?
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah. So go ahead and check his video. But this is my channel. Forget him. We're putting my logo back up there.
There you go.
The reason why I asked Robert on here is Robert is also a really, I mean, I love his modeling. First of all, he can do them shiny. He can do them beat up, weathered, and all that. And he does a lot of armor, like mainly soft skin armor, but you do a lot of armor building. So and you go to a lot of the IPMS shows. So what we're going to talk about, kind of, he sees both sides of the fence here. So if I get a little out of line, he's probably going to straighten me out. So, but I'm not angry. I'm not angry, everybody. We're not really blowing the face off too much. But the discussion I want to have is there's something that's very popular, and I know that over on the IPMS camps, a lot of the shows, especially the Nats, it's like the norm now. A lot of IPMS shows, and I know that mainly the armor and the aircraft guys really love this style of judging, which is really kind of actually technically non-competitive, and we'll get into it. They call it gold, silver, bronze. And you think, well, yeah, that's just like first, second, third, gold. No, they do it in a different way. If you're not familiar with gold, silver, bronze, the judges will actually look at every single model in the category on the tables, and they award points, and they have a set standard. And basically your model gets graded and you get an A, B, and C. And so it's possible for multiple entries in one class could get a bunch of, there could be like 3 silvers, 5 silvers in there, could be 2 golds. Lots of times gold is at a very high standard, so you don't see a lot of golds, but you can, it's possible to see 2 or 3 in a class. So it's really not the modelers or the models on the table competing against one another. It's not like that, what a lot of us model car guys are used to with our typical first, second, and third judge classes, all that stuff. I know that this has been something that's been very confusing to model car builders who go to these shows that are more sanctioned by IPMS, and AMPS is very much into doing it, aren't they, Robert?
I've never been to AMPS, but I understand it's on a point system.
Yeah,
and they do have some awards, but for the most part, I think they just it's on your own merit.
Yeah,
you're basically competing against your own, your own set of. I don't know how to put it, but like you start in amateur, I think, and then if you get a gold in that, then you move up a tier. But you're not competing with somebody that, you're not competing with the Randy Durs and stuff of the world. You're competing against your own tier.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. But the thing is what I've noticed, and we had a conversation about a week ago with a good friend of ours who will remain nameless right now. I don't sure if he wants to know about this, but he was a judge at a show that was gold, silver, bronze, and he was an automotive judge. And there were some problems that ran into in the fact that model car guys just don't get it. I don't know if maybe they will get it eventually, if they will warm up to this. Me personally, no matter what the awards are judging, when I don't go to a show so much. I mean, I like to compete. I do build and I set focus on a show, and I would like to win at the show, of course. I do build to my best ability. I think about my quote unquote competitions, which are usually close friends of mine. I'm not out to murder my friends. I'm out to have fun with them, you know. And if my model is better, my thing is I like to put a model on the table and all my buddies go, "Ooh, that's my." Needless to say, this is where I could not. I don't really care if it's a gold, silver, bronze, first, second, and third, or non-competitive all. You know, that's where I stand. I just want everybody to know that. So my views of this now, as I've gotten more becoming friends with a lot of guys, like the guys over on the Modeling Insanity podcast, great guys. I don't hang out with them enough. I got to start doing that again. I love getting the conversations with them. I love hearing their side of the hobby, because really, man, it has always been a thing in this hobby. It kind of happened way back in the 60s where, you know, there was mainly airplanes. There wasn't a lot of armor, but there was airplane modeling and then the model cars. And model cars were kind of like snubbed. And model cars found that they could go do their own thing. And so that's why there's like standalone model car shows, but you rarely ever see standalone airplane model shows or science fiction model shows or just figure model shows, or, you know, AMPS is like the first one there. It's mainly armor. But the model cars they've been on their own gig for decades. They've been their own hobby, really. And I really started to see the difference in thinking and mentality between the builders. We're all builders. We share techniques and we all get it. It's fun, and it's great to know people that build in other genres. But now that I've really gotten into knowing people in the other genres and kind of dipping my toe into it a little bit, I really even more today see the difference between model builders and model car builders. And this is not a bad thing. I'm not knocking either one of them. It's just a mentality that's kind of evolved over years. And with this saying, seeing that the model car guys are not getting this gold, silver, bronze, and people go look at, you know, the Scale Model Car podcast. I think this was a discussion in our first episode, and we were all of the opinion, because we didn't understand it, and Jason had just gone to one, was like, I don't think I like it. After a while, I actually wouldn't mind not have. I would like to see where a judging staff would rate my model. You know, I kind of like that. I would like to try jumping into a gold, silver, bronze show one day for that. There's enough difference between the way thinking is with model car guys and, you know, mainly armor and aircraft, that I just don't know. I could never see a just model car show ever be gold, silver, bronze. I don't think the model car public would go for it, because there is a little bit more competitiveness with model cars compared to the other side of other genres. So that's kind of my whole take. I kind of, okay, we're done. Goodbye, everybody. Here's the producers. No, really, no, Robert. You know, that's a lot to take in, but I want to hear your side on this, what you think, because you've experienced both sides and you play in both fields. So what do you say about this?
So, gold, silver, bronze. I am not a fan because, well, deep down, I am a car builder. And us car builders, we love trophies. We love the plaques on the walls. We want the shiny stuff. And I'll give you a good example. So in Omaha, IPMS Nationals 2 years ago, I think, maybe 3 years now. Yeah. I had a first, a second, and a third, and it was great. Nice trophies. And then last year in Madison, I didn't place, but there was some great models. Didn't bother me. But then when we went in to the to get everything put up to collect the models, I got to see what was on the tables, and they were just coins. And I'm like, this is a national event. This is the biggest IPMS event in the in our country in the year, and that's it. That's all we get. I wasn't impressed.
I
I
see
mean,
what
imagine being some because there are people coming from other countries and they're going to get a gold. I don't know. I mean, they had real awards for like the best ofs
right.
and that kind of stuff. But there was no first, second, third.
And that's an interesting point you make, because you're definitely speaking the view of the majority of model car builders, where our whole way of model building, talking with our friends, like my buddies at the Modeling Insanity podcast, they kind of don't understand some ways of how we do things. They don't understand the multiple kits that we have and why, like, look at, I got right here, and I don't plan on even building a 67 Chevelle Pro Street, but I have 5 kits right there because the parts are fantastic. And I know they do. I've known the guys, they get multiple, like the aircraft guys might do multiple, but that's because they want to have like 5 Phantoms because they're going to do a squadron.
Yep.
Right. But for us, we do so much more kit bashing than all of the other, except science fiction. That's probably why that's really kind of my second favorite form of modeling, because there's so much scratch building you can do in that, and kit bashing and imagination, and there's no rules. And with the cars, there's almost like no rules, because in the real world, cars, we can do anything we want with our real automobiles, under legal whatever. Sometimes not, then it just becomes trailer queen and goes to shows. But we can express however we want with our automobiles, and it goes into the model car world. And that's kind of, I think, where the model car guys have a little more of a competitive nature, where we want to go up against our peers and do this first, second, and third and get judged on who's the best. It's more about who's the best than, this guy, he's the best because, these 2 guys won golds because they scored, their 18.5 points, or however it is, because they're phenomenal models, but they weren't competing against the other models. I think that's where there's always going to kind of be this little crack or split between car modelers and all the other guys. Although we do see a better mesh today, because there's guys like you, and I definitely enjoy. I love building the occasional airplane, and I want to do some science fiction. I love armored vehicles. I want to start doing more armored vehicles, like the MRAP, that rifle that you got me for Christmas. I'm dying to get onto that. I just think we're always going to have that, and I think because of the way IPMS is going, IPMS was gaining. I know our local one was gaining more cars coming to the show, to where, like, our show, the car classes, there were more model cars on the table percentage wise than anything else. So it was the biggest class, and they kind of like it. It's not really, wasn't a big deal to the majority of them. And this is not knocking. I'm not saying anything bad. And our IPMS actually has the opinion, because IPMS told them that we're not going to pressure you this. They don't want to go gold, silver, bronze. And they actually brought awards to the latest one. They actually gave out plaques, and it was first, second, and third. And everybody had a great time. And it was the show was the biggest one they ever had. But it seems like the majority of IPMS side of things, they want to venture off into this thing. And I think they're going to lose the car guys even more so, like they had in the past. I don't think the car people are going to be interested so much into this type of judging. So you definitely feel that way, and you're right. You're right. It's gone down to like just the little coins. I guess we want awards, like you said. We're kind of in tune to that, but maybe the armor guys, and the aircraft guys, maybe they're cool. Maybe they like that. They seem to be really liking gold, silver, bronze.
One of the things that it's not so much the gold, silver, bronze that I'm mainly unhappy about. It's the splits. They've got like all these different splits on prop aircraft. Axis, allies. Does it have 4 blades? Does it have 3 blades? It's just ridiculous. And then you get automotive, and then there's hardly any division. I mean,
Right.
there's some categories, but it's not like that. When you've got over 100 car models, you're going to have to split it up a little bit, especially in the racing. There's hardly any splits in racing.
Oh, yeah. The racing classes are always the biggest split. Like our IPMS, there's pretty much drag racing and closed course racing, which would be NASCAR, IMSA, IndyCar. They're all grouped together, you know. And then you have drag racing, which that has its own problems too. There's so many different types of drag racing cars. And then you got a Bonneville car. Where does that go? Drag racing, because it's straight line. And that's usually what they call it, is straight line racing, not drag racing. So, but normally a lot of IPMS shows and all, I should say, not just, I'm not picking on IPMS, because there's a lot of independent shows that are everything. And they tend to group the cars together. And then there's like competition class. So everything race car goes into that class. And then there's a factory stock class and a street machine class and a large scale class. And bam, that's all we got. And it's, oh man, how can certain types of, there's so many different types of vehicles. You know, some of your big model car shows can have up to 22 different classes with just cars, with automotive, because there's so many different types of automotive vehicles you could build. So yeah, and I think, and I get it, you know, they got to cut it down a bit, you know, when you're having a big show like that. That's
there's a lot of awards.
There's a lot of awards, but I think they should throw, you know, especially when the model cars are starting to show more of an appearance. That's what we were trying to get our club out here to do, and they don't seem to want to really do that. But like you said, but then they'll have 17 classes for different types of prop planes. I'm exaggerating, I'm sure. I don't pay that close attention. But like you said, I see that. The splitting up of, there's some stuff like, you know, those can like go together, can't they? You know, clump a couple of them up to throw a couple more classes to the car guys and a couple more classes. Because isn't it about getting people in through the door too, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're lucky if they do it by year. Like they'll do like from the 20s all the way up to like the 40s or 50s, and then it'll be everything from the 50s and 60s to modern times. They don't really split it any further than that most of the time.
Yeah, we've come a long way where I really do like the interaction. There's so much more interaction today. I think it has a lot to do with, you know, the internet and, you know, having YouTube and all the podcasts and stuff. I love how closer we're getting, and there's more crossover. There's more car guys doing the other stuff. There's more of the guys doing the other stuff. Like, you know, Justin Ryan has been posting pictures of a 57 Chevy he's working on. It looks fantastic.
It does.
Don't tell him I said that, because I don't like to boost his ego bigger than it is. But it's looking really cool. But, you know, that's a guy who's been like, I mean, he would dabble with cars, but he was like, he's an airplane dude. And starting to see more of that. And same on our side, man. Even our little group, the Scale Model Car Podcast, BG, Jason, he's always done other things. And Chuck's always done, all three of them. I'm the one who's done it the least, but I have an interest in it. But we all talk about, you know, wanting to do other stuff. And I think we see that a lot more today, but I get worried that there's still this us and them sometimes, not really by any fault of anyone. It just kind of appears, and it's like, you know, you know, this is kind of another subject going in that direction. But I think that I don't know if anything can be changed or should be changed, but I think that's just kind of an observation as far as like the gold, silver, bronze of what I've seen, that I think with this becoming a huge popular, and I think it's a great idea for them and all that. It's definitely working, but I think they're going to go back to where they were starting to gain model car people. I think basically IPMs are going to start losing the car builders.
Yeah, but there's, well, in my area at least, there's plenty of non-IPMS shows to satisfy the, you know, the need for competition.
Yeah, yeah. Well, are these shows just model car shows, or are they an everything show?
No, these are model car shows.
Yeah, yeah. We've got, and that's the thing. That's the thing that the model car guys have. That's where they'll go to an IPMS show. The model car guys will go to an IPMS show, but if it's not to their so liking, they're not going to really put it in the forefront like they were starting to do. That's where I think they're going to start losing the model car guys again, because we do. That's the one thing compared what we said before. We were kind of like outcasts in the 60s and the 70s, to where we created our own thing where model car shows have always been a thing, and there's so many of them to go to that are just strictly car centric, where you can't really do that in other forms of modeling. You know, like AMS has been working hard at just having armor, and they're successful with that. And of course, you have for science fiction, the big granddaddy of it all is Wonderfest. You don't ever hear of a model spaceship show going on. You know, they don't have a lot to go to. Anything else you want to add about this? I mean, what are your thoughts on all this? Or you have any ideas what could make it better, or does it need it?
Well, it's not going to change. We both know that. But I mean, I'll still go to a show that's got gold, silver, bronze. Just to go visit with other people, friends, and stuff. You know, I venture quite a distance. I'll go over across to Illinois, Indiana. I think last year, well, I did nationals last year. But no, I go to a good variety of shows. And so I see a little bit of everything. My soft skin stuff doesn't really do very well
Really?
on the real. No, because when you are competing soft skin with the actual military builders, because I'm not actually a military builder, they're so much better. The way they do their paint and their weathering and stuff. I don't know. It's not. What I like to do is take an old military truck and actually make it glossy, and they don't like that.
No, they don't. I love the Tamiya soft skins. We wanted to do a deuce and a half. I love those 48 scale ones. But then when that Ryefield, I saw so many of those getting built, the Ryefield, the MRAP. Yeah, that kit, it's kind of intimidating, actually. Some of these military kits are kind of intimidating.
Yeah, I'll have to get one of those.
You never got one?
No, I built that kit in 35th scale from a company called Panda Models, which is they're dreadfully bad. I mean, I'd like to have one at 48 scale, but I got a lot to do. Like, I'm not one to try to like schedule builds. I just kind of pick them as I go.
Yeah.
But I'm in this carbon fiber decal mode right now, so I want to get this Porsche done, and the other car that goes with it, the Alpine, and then I'm going to get back to my carbon fiber stuff because it's fun.
Yeah, that's the whole idea of the model cars. And just so everybody knows, if you want to watch it, he's doing on his channel a build of that Porsche. It's all on your channel. You put your first part up.
Yeah, who does a 31-minute unboxing? That's me.
Very questionable.
Very questionable.
Well, Robert, I want to thank you for coming on and discussing this with me. This is kind of a subject I wanted to address, and kind of thought I'd bring somebody in with me. And I didn't do this to ruffle any feathers. I like what I like what IPMS does, and I might have some disagreements on things, but I still will go to the shows. I still will support anything that anybody does like that, because the hobby is, and all sorts of model building, not just cars. The hobby is excellent. All of my bestest friends in the world are all come from this hobby. Greatest people I've ever met, closest friends. And I love going to shows to hang out with pals. It's fun to look at other people's models, and if I win something, great. If I don't care. So keep on going to shows. Don't let it stop you. But you know, that's just kind of an observation I had. So everybody down in the comments below, tell me how wrong I am. Tell me how much better Robert is, and his channel is going to take off way farther than mine, and I'm just going to be left in the dust because I'm just an idiot. Go ahead, you can say that, or you can say nice things. I like that too. So with that being said, Robert, I'm going to put you up against the wall here, and you can say and you should know it by now. You've been a producer for 7 years.
Long time.
Yeah, you go ahead. You do it.
Keep gluing those fingers together and cutting that styrene.
Right on. And well, here's Robert and the rest of the producers.
Yep. Here's the rest of us.